Okay, I think I'll go ahead and get started. It's 12:16 now, and it is being recorded, and it will be posted after the call so that anyone who misses will have an opportunity to go out and look at the recording. So what we're going to be talking about today are transit plans. We introduced it last month, and we're going to show a little bit more on it this month. It still is targeting for release in early July. The first version of it will have pretty much the functionality you're going to see today, and then there'll be enhancements added shortly thereafterwards. So today we're going to talk about what plans are, what they can be used for, and how they impact your licensing in transit. So plans are basically a list of activities, and the thing about using them in transit is it's like a test plan that you're executing in transit, in that multiple people can access it at the same time. And so the big win for it is you don't have to have Microsoft Project and set up Enterprise Project to be able to have multiple people go in and update your project plans. Now you can use transit for that. And so there's a whole bunch of different places where we see plans can be used. The first one would be cutover plans. And so typically vendors put together a cutover plan for when you're about to go live that is in Excel and has multiple tabs on it, and it's often updated by each of the individual solution teams until right near go live when you turn it over to your activation manager. And it's usually very unwieldy to manage. And so we think that the transit plans are going to make that a heck of a lot easier. It can also be used for data backloads. So for keeping track of if you're getting ready to go live and you've got 75 clinics that you've got to back enter appointments for, keeping track of who's finished the backload and who hasn't. Or on the night of cutover, when you're entering clinical data for all of your patients that are currently in-house, it is also a way to keep track of which ones nursings have finished with, which ones pharmacy have finished with, and any ongoing activity. So again, something that typically causes a lot of chaos and confusion at go live can be streamlined by using a transit plan. We also see some clients have started to use it for technical deployments. So when you have hundreds of scanners to roll out and they all need to be set to their location and configured for their appropriate solution, and you want to make sure that somebody actually goes and tests that it's configured before go live, having a transit plan for that purpose and having them go in and sign off on it puts accountability where it belongs in the deployment team. It can also be used for small projects. So if there's things that you do on a regular basis that don't really warrant having a big project plan for, but that you'd like to keep track of the tasks and making sure all the departments have done theirs. So whether it's quarterly updates for CPT codes and HCPCS, or if it's the steps that you do every time you open up a new nursing station, all those sorts of things that you want people to mark when tasks are done, but again, don't necessarily want to use a big Microsoft project plan for. We also see it could be used for your disaster recovery and downtime steps. Also, if you are doing any kind of major go live and you're doing departmental readiness checklists, so that the department managers and directors provide updates on where they're at with getting their individual departments ready, it can also be used for that. So then the question would be, well, how does it impact your licensing? And the good news is that it really doesn't. So there's no additional price increases for plans at all. It just comes with TransIT 4.0 and TransIT 4.0 rolls out. So the only difference is that it will count as the same way as a scenario does. So if you're licensed for 500 scenarios, that will now be 500 scenarios and plans. So if you don't use plans at all, it won't impact you at all. If you do decide to use plans and start to use it heavily, there may be a chance that you might need to increase your subscription limit. And obviously, if you need to increase your subscription, you would just contact sales@makeSolutionsInc.com. So with that, I am going to switch over to my domain here and just show you a little bit more. I know we did go over it briefly last month. New features that have been added. If you click New Plan, there's now an ability for it to accept an upload file. So if I don't choose a file, if I just type in the name of a plan in the description, it's going to create a blank plan, and I can do that now. And when I click save, it gives me this blank area and I can just start adding tasks. I will say that at this point, it is somewhat tedious to add those tasks. So what we are recommending is that clients build a plan in Excel and then upload it. So if I go back to plans here and click new plan again, you'll see that the instructions are in here similar to our other uploads for scenarios. So it tells you the same sort of information. It needs to be Excel 97. Make sure that you don't have merged cells, that it's only a single sheet in the workbook. The thing that's the most important is to remember that for any of your start or finish dates, they need to be formatted in this format for the upload to work successfully. Right now, there isn't error reporting in the upload like there is in the scenario upload. So if you have something invalid in your duration column, it's expecting things to be in hours, minutes, days, weeks. So if you type free text in there, it's just going to dump it, not upload it, and won't necessarily tell you that it's done that. So the columns are type, activity, assigned, start, finish, duration, percent complete, status, category, group, and comments. And so in looking at some of the vendor cutover plans, they have some additional comments. And what I've done when I've uploaded plans myself is I've concatenated fields together. So for example, some of the plans have a dependency column as well as a comments column in the Excel spreadsheet. So what I've done is just concatenate those two fields together into the column comments column. So if we go in and we look at one of the plans that I've put together for this demo today, the first one is a clinical cutover plan. And so in that clinical cutover plan, you're listing out all of the steps. So first of all, running whatever reports you need to understand what the orders are in the existing system or what the med orders are in the existing system. And then it's literally just a row for doing each of the pieces of the clinical cutover. And so if I'm, for example, I'm the pharmacist and I'm responsible for doing the intensive care only, and I want to filter to just my tasks, I can filter on it and it'll show me just my steps. And so the idea would be that you would roll plans out to your SME community and the people who typically help you, your informaticists, etc. And when you're getting ready to do your clinical cutover, that they would come in and they would do the update. So as somebody goes in and says, yes, they've run this report, they would come in and update the percent complete, and it updates the status and so on. I've documented the med history for the patient who's in bed 252-1 or room 252 bed 1. And so I'll go in and put that it's complete. And if there is a need to put a note, you can obviously put a note out here so that everyone will be able to see it, as well as choosing a status if there's something going wrong and there's some reason why you can't continue and you want to let everyone know, you can mark it as an issue. And so this is, again, how you would use TransIT plans to be able to facilitate communication during a clinical cutover of the beds that were already updated, sorry, the patients that already have their information updated in the system. Obviously, like in this example, you would never want to put in the patient's name in here. You'd want to choose the location so that if that patient gets discharged and they're no longer here and you want to take this out because in the end, really, you need to redo it for whoever the next patient is that comes in, you have the ability to remove that and then refresh it. And you see when I refreshed it, the ones that were complete dithered and went gray. If I go back now to plans and go in and look at the other kind of plan that I have loaded for today, it is the technical cutover plan. And so it's the same sort of thing. Whoops. Remove my filter. And you can see the tasks that have been completed show as complete, the blue full circle here and the check mark, and they're sort of a light gray showing that they're completed. So if I want to go and filter to show only the things that are in progress or have issues or have been skipped, I can filter and it's going to remove from the screen all the ones that are completed already. It does a little bit of intelligent thinking for you. So the activity column is fairly narrow in nature. So it's only going to allow a certain number of characters in here. In this case, this was a script where somebody had put the whole script into the activity column. So what it did for you instead was when you uploaded it, it automatically copied it over to the comments column because the comments column is much larger and makes better use of the screen real estate. So again, there's, filtering capabilities. If you wanted to go out here and filter to just any of the backload tasks, for example, you can refresh and filter on that. And if you wanted to instead go out and look for the tasks that are that you're the one responsible for them, and use that alpha search to search for anything in the plans as well. Again, there's a lot of additional functionality we're working on. That would be to multi-select rows at the same time and do the same update to the same row. Right now we have the ability to multi-select and delete, but we don't have the ability to copy and paste, etc. So those were the main things that I was going to show today. Again, we muted everyone when you joined. If anybody has any questions, we're happy to take them. Otherwise, as I said before, the planned release date of this would be early July, with changes coming in pretty rapidly after that. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, it sounds like there are no questions from anybody. So remember, as always, if there's anything you want us to show in a future tips and tricks, if you just want to email support@makeSolutionsInc.com, we'd be happy to add it into our next session. Thanks for joining, everybody. Have a great day.